Greetings to you all. Let me begin by thanking the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. The World Business Council is a long-standing supporter of the Convention on Biological Diversity, and I'm encouraged by your valuable contribution as one of the business voices for the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. Our economies depend on natural systems and the flow of ecosystems, goods, and services. As you all know, loss and decline of biodiversity impacts us all. Human health, livelihood, prosperity, and resilience to extreme weather conditions and events significantly depend on biodiversity. Similarly, nature can be harnessed to create solutions to the challenges set out in the Sustainable Development Goals. Achieving not only the Sustainable Development Goals, but also the Paris Climate Agreement and the upcoming post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework requires collective action across governments, civil society, private sector, and dedicated individuals and communities. It requires the necessary resources, innovations, and capacity and partnerships to drive implementation to be successful. Businesses and the financial sector have a critical role to play in ensuring the business as usual is no longer an option. The Global Futures Report from WWF estimates that the economic cost of inaction could amount to a global loss of $9.8 trillion in GDP by 2050. We cannot afford to stand still. In less than 2 months, parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity will convene in Montreal, Canada to finalize and adopt the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. In the current draft of the framework, there are 4 long-term goals and some 20+ action targets to be achieved by 2030. One goal focuses on mobilization of resources and, to a large extent, financial resources needed for the implementation of the framework. While the precise wording remains to be agreed by the parties, this goal is reflected also at the level of action targets and on the mobilization of financial flows to achieve positive outcomes for biodiversity. Other relevant targets include the integration of biodiversity within national policies and regulations, and the repurposing and alignment of financial flows that are harmful to biodiversity. This is our opportunity to effect change, and the time to act is now. We must scale up ambition and inspire companies of all sizes from all sectors to take decisive action. Large and transnational companies are being called to assess and disclose on their impacts on biodiversity, engaging business partners and value chains along the way. Governments are being challenged to integrate the value of biodiversity and ecosystem services into policies and regulations. With that, we must also involve smallholders, local communities, indigenous peoples, the scientific community, youth, and women. And we need to support consumers in making better informed choices that will be crucial and critical to build a better future for all. The successful implementation of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework will take a whole of government and a whole of society approach. I want to thank again the World Business Council for continued efforts to mobilize their member companies in support of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. And I want to invite you all to help and support the implementation of this global agreement as soon as it is adopted. Our future depends on the collective effort, and we hope and to continue working closely with the private sector in the coming years. Thank you once again, and I wish you all a very meaningful discussion. And I hope to welcome you all to Montreal for the Conference of the Parties 15 in December. Thank you.